into Israel. Specifically, though, I believe that he was also talking to mothers and fathers when he said, I want you to hear these things, because what are they to do with these things? They're to teach them to their children. What is the job of parents? To teach their children about God. What makes them successful parents? To teach their children about God. I look through the Bible, and there's a lot of women. There's a lot of mothers that are talked about in the Bible. Some of them are just mentioned here and there. Some of them are mothers you wouldn't want your worst enemy to be. And some of them are great mothers. Oh, we need great mothers today, don't we? We look at the world and we look at the condition of the world. What's happening to America? Just this past week, there have been several killings in Beaumont. Several shootings that have taken lives of very young people. There's a breakdown in our families, isn't there? There's a breakdown in our families. We've got to build our families stronger. And to do that, we need mothers who will build stronger homes, who will help to make our kids stronger in God and our faith stronger in God. Women like the one we read about in the book of Proverbs, chapter 31. The virtuous woman. And it talks about a virtuous woman. Let's go ahead and read it, starting in verse 10. An excellent wife who can find, she is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it with the fruit of her husband's hand. She plants a vineyard. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold in the spindle. She opens her hands to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all of her household are clothed in scarlet. She makes beds covering for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates where he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchants. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the times to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and she teaches with kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the way of her household and does not eat the bread of an idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done exactly excellency, but you surpass them all. What a woman. She gets up when it's still dark outside. She gets up before all the rest of the house. She takes care of all of the blessings, or all the blessings that God has given them as far as food and clothing and land, and takes care of all of it. He goes to bed late at night after making clothes and maybe mending clothes. I remember my grandmother, who would take in laundry to do. And I would go to her house and she would babysit me. And she would do load after load after load after load of laundry. She would iron shirts and pants. And what do we have today? No iron clothes. I wonder if there'll ever be disposable clothes. Wear them one time and dispose them and get something else. She takes care. My grandmother took care of her family. There were 13 kids in that family. She had a lot of work to do. The greatest work that she did was bring her kids up to know God. I stand before you today, she would be proud. She died when I was just barely a teenager. She has no idea what I'm doing today, but she would be proud of me. And I know that, because that's the kind of lady that she was. She took care of her family. She took care of me. Every other Friday night, I would spend the night with her. And I did that for two reasons. Actually, one reason, but two things in that one reason. Breakfast every Saturday morning. Biscuits and gravy. Ooh, I can still smell them and taste them. And coffee. She let me drink coffee. Of course, there's about that much coffee in the cup. The rest was cream and sugar. But it was coffee to me. I love my grandmother. And I saw a lot of my mother in my grandmother, or a lot of my grandmother in my mother, who was the same way in raising her children and teaching us about God. She nurtured us in our Christianity, nurtured us in our love. She not only ironed shirts for us to wear to school every day, but she even ironed our jeans. She wanted us to look good. She wanted us to be presentable. But she also wanted us to be presentable to God when we stood before Him on the judgment day. She cried many tears over my oldest brother, and she would have cried some happy tears if she would have known that he came back before he died. Came back to God. Gave his life back to Him. My mother was nurturing. She was wise, as this lady was that we just read about in Proverbs chapter 31. But there's two more ladies, two more mothers. Lois was the name of one of them, and she was the mother of Eunice, or Eunice, whichever way you want to say it. And Eunice, or Eunice, was the mother of Timothy. And we go to the first chapter of the book of 2 Timothy, starting in verse 4. As I remember your tears, I long to see you that I may be filled with joy. I reminded of your sincere faith, a faith that dwelt first in your grandmother Lois and in your mother Eunice, and now I'm sure dwells in you also. A good mother does what? Shares their faith. And just like Lois shared it with Eunice or Eunice, and she shared it with Timothy. And Paul said, I'm sure that it's in you. The faithfulness. We look at the faithfulness of our kids today. When we're losing 80% of our young people, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. A lot of it has to do with the world that we live in. Some of it has to do with hard-headed kids. Who, well, if mom and dad did it that way, I'm not going to do it that way. Look at them. And then there's some who just don't hear. Does that make bad parents or bad mothers? Absolutely not. You see, we can't force anyone to do something. I could train my kids. Sheila trained our kids that when they did something they shouldn't do, we didn't believe in timeout. All right, timeout, just not something that works in our book. We believed in the rod, in the switch. We had a tree right outside the church in Homestead, Florida. I haven't been down there in years. I don't know if it's still there. But I remember Sheila breaking a switch off of that tree every Sunday and Wednesday when we went in. How it ever lasted while we were there, I don't know. And that switch would be put in the book holder. If they didn't do what they were supposed to do, they were taken out. They were shown the switch first as a warning. I remember one time, Matt's not here, so I can tell the story. I was taking Matt out. I don't remember what he had done. He was 1.5 years, 2 years old. As I walked down the side of the auditorium to the back door, he was, "No, Daddy, don't paint me. Don't paint me, Daddy, no." He knew what was going to happen. He didn't want it to happen. But you know, you discipline them enough, what's going to happen? They're going to learn. They're going to learn. But you have to have that discipline. And you have to do the same with the faith. You have to discipline children in faith. As Lois and Eunice did in raising Timothy, talking to him about his faith, encouraging him about his faith. They shared their faith with him. And I'm sure they told him how hard it was for them, because it's been hard for every generation who's ever lived to live the Christian life. It may be harder at times, but it's been hard. But you share your faith with your children, as Lois and Eunice did. And then there's a mother of strength. We find this mother in 1 Samuel chapters 1 and 2, a lady named Hannah. Hannah wanted a child. But she didn't want just any old child. She wanted what? She wanted a male child. She wanted a male child Maybe not for herself, but for her husband, to keep the name going. But her husband loved her. And he came to her and he said, why are you so upset that you don't have a child yet? I love you. I take care of you. I'm going to, whether we have a child or not. You're my wife. But she still had the strength to go and to pray. And to say, God, if you'll give me a male child, I promise I will give him back to you. And not long after that, she found out she was going to be a mother. And a male child was born. His name was Samuel. If you remember your Bible history, Samuel was the last judge before they had kings. But Hannah didn't forget Samuel when she completed her promise to God of giving him back to her. She gave him to Eli so that he could train him. And he did. But every year she took him a coat that she had made for him. He knew his mother loved him. And he knew the strength that it took to make that promise to God, and then the strength that it took to keep that promise to God. To keep that promise. And to actually take him and say, I promised him to God, Eli, train him up to be a worker for God. When both of my boys were baptized, I feel very good about being the one to be able to do that. And I made the same statement when both of them were baptized. And I say, God, I give back to you what you gave to me. And I meant that. And I pray that my boys remain faithful to God. Follow his teaching. But there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. We need mothers like Hannah. Sheila taught me a lesson about prayer when our boys were born. She started that first day, not only praying for the boys, but praying for the parents of the young girl that they would marry one day. That they would be raised up in the Lord, in a good Christian home. Be good, strong Christians. God answered our prayers. One of them was the daughter of an elder who was also a preacher. The other one was a daughter of an elder who was brought up in the church. We need to remember to pray. To pray not only when they get older, start now. I've told Honey and Prakash that story about praying for them now. And the strength that it's going to take. And we need more parents, more mothers who are going to have compassion in their life. I believe the mother of compassion that we can find in the Bible is found in 1 Kings chapter 3, starting in verse 16. Solomon had asked for wisdom to leading God's people. And we all know the story about two prostitutes who had babies They were sleeping one night. One of them rolled over on her baby and smothered the baby, and it died. And how she took her baby and swapped it with the other mother's baby. And so when the other mother woke up in the morning, here's this dead baby. But mothers know their babies, don't they? Mothers know their babies. They don't all look the same. But when the mother woke up and hears the dead baby with her, she knew that that was not hers. But yet she looked at the other woman who said her baby was still alive. She knew it was hers. Is that they took it to Solomon. Said, you fix this problem. He had asked God for wisdom to lead his people. And with his wisdom, he looked at the baby and told the attendants, he said, get a sword. He cut the baby in half. Give half to each of the mothers. And the real mother, compassion and love for her child, said no. Give it to her. The other lady was all for it. Compassion of mothers for their children. Compassion of loving them so much and wanting the very best for them. In today's society, we have many one-parent homes, and a majority of those are mothers. And a majority of those homes with one mother, maybe not a majority, but many of the homes with one mother, the mothers have no compassion for their children. You go do whatever you want to do. I'm tired. I don't want to be hassled. Children know that. Because you see, children want to be loved. Joshua wants to be loved. Janisha wants to be loved. They need to hear the words, I love you. They need to hear, what I'm doing for you. What I'm teaching you, I'm teaching to help you go to heaven. They need to hear this from their mothers and not just get out of here. Many parents let their kids go at night, say come home whenever. And this is even down in junior high, very young kids. They say, well, what time should I be in? I don't care, whenever you come in. My parents didn't feel that way. Sheila and I didn't feel that way with our kids. We need mothers who love their children, who have compassion for their children and know how hard it is to live in the world that we live in. But to be there for them. Most of the time, when a child gets hurt, and if mom and dad are both standing there, who's that child going to run to? Mama. Mama. Now, grandkids, that's a different story. The more chocolate you give, the more the child's going to come to you. That's why I give Joshua and Janisha so much chocolate. We need mothers who nurture, who are wise, who are faithful, who have strength, and who have compassion. And for the mothers here today, I hope that these are words that people say about you. You're trying to raise your children. You see, your kids don't ever get too old. We still talk to our kids about religion, about the Bible, and about following the Bible. We still teach them that sin is sin. We have to follow God. And I pray when Christ comes again, that our kids will be in heaven. I pray that we will too. But I'll tell you something. A lot of it's Sheila that's taught them, that showed them in her life. And moms, I hope your husbands can say that one day about you. For you who aren't married, I hope one day you will be. And I hope that you will have kids. And that you will be the mothers that you need to be. As we strive to turn this world upside down for God. We always want to offer an invitation when we come together. We're going to do so at this time. If anyone needs to respond, do so as we stand and as we sing.